The Prime Minister, remember, was meeting to review the oxygen supply in the country. As a precautionary meeting, India Today now has an inside track of what precisely was discussed in the meeting. Oxygen plants contributed by PM CARES Fund would now support more than 4 lakh oxygenated beds. More than 1,500 PSA oxygen plants are coming up across the country. It appears, as sources are telling us, that the Prime Minister has asked to ensure adequate training of the hospital staff on operation and maintenance of the oxygen plants. Our National Affairs Editor Rahul Srivastava with all the details on that. Rahul, tell us about more details that you have accessed about the meeting, and importantly, a precautionary meeting, shall we say, with regard to the threat of the third wave looming large.
Pooja, having learned a lesson from the ferocity of the second surge, the shortfall in oxygen beds, cylinders, availability of LMO, and also the fact that yesterday when Prime Minister spoke at the Council of Ministers, that there are people which can be seen that huge crowds are surging at the hill stations in Himachal and Uttarakhand, with nearly 6 lakh people hitting Himachal Pradesh alone, and the Health Ministry sending out a notice to the state that people are not following protocols in these areas. Somewhere the Prime Minister knows that preparing early is a necessity now. And that is why, unlike the last surge when we saw that the Health Ministry had thrown up his hands in despair and the Prime Minister had to get in with his sleeves rolled up, this time the Prime Minister has started early. And what he has done is carried out a review of the availability of the oxygen structure in the country. Now, a lot has been achieved, Pooja, in the last 3 months. What one can say is that the picture seems to have changed. More than 1,500 PSA oxygen plants are coming up across the nation. These are funded by the PM CARES, and these will be able to support nearly 4 lakh oxygenated beds. That's a huge augmentation compared to the scenario we saw in April. Now, Prime Minister has instructed that officials should ensure that the plants are made functional at the earliest. In states like UP and others, there are lots of plants which are already up and running. Then he has asked them to deploy advanced technology to track performance and functioning oxygen plants. Also, what the Prime Minister has looked at is the past structure which came up in terms of railways and Air Force, bringing in oxygen all over the country. Importantly, Pooja, one interesting fact which has emerged, that at the start of April 2020, when pandemic came to India in a big way, compared to then, at that time in India, the total ventilators in the public sector health was 16,644. Because of the efforts of the government, today that picture stands at 58,000. Means there has been a manifold increase in the availability of oxygen.
What you're telling us, Rahul, is very interesting and also crucial, and appears that, as you're telling us, some lessons have been taken, and with hope that such precautionary meetings, if at all there's a third wave coming in and its peak, that the country and the government will be better prepared. Thank you so much, Rahul Srivastava, for all the latest. I'm heading into a short break. Coming up next, I get you some ground situation from Japan, because the country